Hi, everyone, both here in the room and watching online. We've traveled all the way from Germany and Ireland and are really excited to be here today. I'm Sheryl, Senior Product Manager at Zalando. I've been working on our design system team for close to 2 years now, and I'm here with my colleagues, Leonie and Gonzalo, Senior Product Designers on the Zalando Design Systems team as well. Now, when you look at these 3 screens, what do you think they show? And how do you think they might be related? Maybe you're thinking something along the line of sub-brands, because, well, that's the title of our talk. But actually, there's a plot twist. What you see here are not sub-brands, but more like distinct categories of a single product. These categories all live together on the Zalando fashion store, but have a slightly different style. Today, we want to share with you how and why we revamped our design system to enable this visual language variation at scale. This includes tokenizing our system and building the first theme in parallel. Of course, this was our unique approach because it always depends on your organizational setup and strategy, but we still think and hope that you can use some of our learnings. To set the stage, we want to give you a short intro about Zalando. Zalando is a leading multi-brand fashion and lifestyle destination in Europe with over 6,000 brands, 50 million customers, spanning across 25 countries and 23 languages. And of course, we want to continue expanding as a pan-European ecosystem for fashion and lifestyle e-commerce. Now, when we distill that scale down to design at Zalando, our community includes over 200 product designers, content designers, and user researchers. And here I'd like to give a quick shout out to the design community who are having a watch party in Berlin tonight to cheer us on. The design system team consists of 16 people, which is split equally between engineers and designers, with 1 PM, myself, support this community, as well as over 500 web and app engineers. The design system has been around since 2019 and has to keep up with the needs of this many people and growing. Over the years, we've moved past the early adoption stages, seeing healthy cross-platform adoption. And to leverage Sparkbox's maturity stages, you can say we sit somewhere between 3 and 4, wanting to evolve the design system as you would any external product. That is also the reason why I'm here today. Building a mature design system means we're now faced with a new set of challenges, such as continuously demonstrating value and staying relevant to our users as the organization evolves. And to overcome them, we've consciously decided to shift our mindset between being service-oriented versus product-centric. That means we operate as a full-fledged internal product, tightly integrating the PM role and engineering teams, and prioritizing areas of focus that tie back to a clear design system, vision, and product strategy, which then ladders back to a bigger picture. Zalando's current strategy across its multiple categories and offerings focuses on creating more tailored experiences, catering to our customers' unique lifestyle needs in different moments of their shopping journey. For example, when looking for beauty products or designer luxury goods, seeking inspirational stories, or joining the Plus program for our most loyal customers. These offerings are connected, but may need different levels of visual distinction to amplify them independently from the core brand. To contribute to these changing needs of our business, and in turn enable teams who are building the digital experiences, the design system needed to de-average the visual language. So our guiding question was, how might we enable more variation in our visual language at scale, But also, the underlying question needed to address how much variation could we allow without breaking the experience? Or in other words, what level of brand integrity do we want to maintain?
Yeah, and to dive a little bit deeper into those questions, let's take a look at the Zalando brand. Our character traits are the core of who we are as a company and brand, and those are inclusive, bold, trustworthy, playful, humble, and values-driven. And as you can see on product, this translates into this very vibrant, colorful UI, which is enabled through a tool in the system called Color Snap. It pulls the color from the photography dynamically and matches them with our defined color attributes. The tool also sets the color of the text to be either white or black to ensure accessible color contrast combinations. And as a result, we support a default, a monochrome light, and a monochrome dark color scheme. But it also means that we don't need to store this whole range of colors as a fixed set in the system, helping us to maintain a very streamlined palette. Our primary brand color is orange, used in the logo brand mark that is also known as the shoe tip. And besides that, we have a typography pairing of a sans and a serif font. And all of this together makes up the default Zalando experience, or what we today refer to as the base theme. And as Sheryl mentioned earlier, we needed to accommodate for more variation, transitioning from this very consistent visual language to one that's more coherent and configurable. And the way to do that in a sustainable way without creating any hacky solutions was by introducing theming to the system and through design tokens.
So everyone knows what a design token is, right? Well, the official way we introduced design tokens to our community was through this guy. And yes, you can tell that we did this a year back. Ryan Gosling, like any other actor, plays different roles in different movies. Let's say he is a design token, and movies are themes. So in Barbie, Ryan Gosling is equal to Ken, but in Drive, he is Driver. While in Blade Runner 2049, he is Kay. He is the same person, but he assumes different personalities based on the movie, like a token that assumes different values based on the theme. And you can keep adding tokens to describe more characteristics. Similarly, design tokens are used to represent different properties depending on the theme. In summary, design tokens are design decisions that make theming possible in a scalable way. And for us, the first use case to bring this to reality was the designer experience.
Yes, and now what do we mean by the designer experience? So this is referring to the core journey for customers that look for any luxury brands like Maison Margiela, Gucci, etc. on our website or app. And by the end of 2022, research showed that customers were actively searching for these brands that we didn't yet carry at Zalando. At the same time, the brands expressed interest in joining if we provided a more protected space with an elevated design that connects to the visual world of luxury brands. So this presented a big business opportunity and created momentum for us to kick off theming. When we started, we had little to no understanding, though, how theming would actually work. So to keep things moving in sync, Gonzalo and I joined the designer project team to work together and inform the theming explorations on the system side. And the initial explorations that you can see here were created on a scale of incremental, evolutionary, and revolutionary to evaluate with engineers what types of changes can potentially be implemented through theming, but also answer questions like, how many changes can we make before coherence is lost? Or what are the minimum requirements to create a credible designer destination? And the vision for a designer came in form of a metaphor of a designer boutique space. This was a really powerful tool to bring everyone on the same page and served as this guiding principle to reimagine the whole experience. For example, instead of using color snap, we worked with lots of white space, a minimalistic palette to let the images shine, and created these big upscaled headlines, changed media ratios to be more immersive, and also experimented with motion and 3D models for an overall crafted and curated touch. To systematically approach visual language differentiation, we leverage Zalando's existing character traits and focus on those that align with each category's specific needs. Amongst other things, this method then defines a unique personality and style that's still closely tied to the core. For example, designer is more values-driven and less playful, while for beauty or sports, the character might be different. And since for us, theming is really about extending the expression of our brand alongside its brand architecture, a close collaboration with the brand team was an essential part of the whole process. One important outcome was, for example, that we made sure to have the same look and feel on and off product, because the way we see themes is that they should span across all the touch points.
Now, let's jump into our approach to design tokens, which was heavily informed by designer as our first use case. We focused on building our tokens to be semantic and simple. The reason for that is that we wanted for anyone to understand how and where to apply them. We used short names based on its type, category, function, and the optional state. And these design tokens represent different properties depending on the theme. They are always the same for all themes, and the fact that they can assume different values is what makes our visual language configurable. As an example of flexibility, these two screens are basically the same, but with different values applied, allowing us to keep the integrity of the user experience and accessibility through semantic overrides. Now, going down another level, in buttons, for example, we assign different background color tokens for a primary and a secondary button. One has a primary background, and the other one is transparent. But for the interactive states, they use a single token for hover, another one for pressed, focus, etc. And for disabled states, we use a single opacity token for every interactive component, which makes them slightly transparent against any background color. This allowed us to keep a really short set of around 35 color tokens covering background, borders, and text. We evaluated covering all theming requests only with semantic tokens. But we would have ended up with a huge list of tokens, making everyone's life harder. And of course, we didn't want that. So we used component tokens for specific cases to introduce a higher level of configuration. For instance, in the designer theme, we needed to make our links typography lighter, hide the icon, and change the color. Component tokens was the only way to target these properties without affecting other components. But we do this only for a limited amount of components, only 4 so far. We carefully assess every use case, and we don't expose directly these tokens to our consumers. In Figma, these are private to our libraries. Here you can see that we heavily rely on typographic variables for these kind of tokens. So what's worked for us when building design tokens is adding only what's needed. So don't try to cover every possible use case. Discuss the names with the team and bring all the voices, from iOS, Android, web engineers, design, and product. And extremely important, define boundaries. Otherwise, things might get chaotic. Define how flexible you want to be and how much can you actually support. But in reality, it's never that simple. In fact, this is one of the most challenging steps in this process. And it still happens to us from time to time, going through questions like, should we allow this or should we restrict that? Where sometimes this can lead to discuss the whole theming concept. So to avoid these headaches, the main thing to keep in mind is defining and documenting definitions as a team. Accept platform differences and nuances. And don't expect to get it right immediately. It's just important to start early and iterate. Finally, embrace these internal discussions. They are a healthy indicator of your team's progress to maturity.
By building these concepts and capabilities at the same time as the designer theme meant that we were able to address most of the requirements through theming. Except for any major layout changes, motion, and then, of course, new features. But everything else you see here is now configurable within a defined set of boundaries. For instance, the designer typography stack, we adjusted only the headline styles, keeping the same font families, but making them bigger, lighter, and also a bit shorter. The body text styles, though, remain unchanged due to their widespread usage in components. And when it comes to color, we kept the brand orange for designer, but use it sparingly, focusing mainly on a monochrome black-white-gray palette. Any tactical colors for error or success messages remain the same across all the themes. And applying these decisions to one of the key components in e-commerce, our product card, led to some small but very impactful changes. For example, through a dedicated sale color token and also component level tokens to adjust multiple values of the wishes button, making it appear transparent against the gray image background and having a black selected state. Putting this product card in context, for example, in the component that we call showstopper, you see here that the background color changes, the text uses the defined headline styles, the themed link, and also image ratio. And then again, on page level, you may notice now that in this example of a brand homepage, the base and designer theme are structurally very similar. They use the same code, the same Figma files, but they ultimately look quite different. And that was also the reason we were super curious how customers and brand partners would receive these significant changes. But in the end, we got very positive results. The overall engagement doubled, and over the last month, we were able to onboard more than 40 new luxury brands to Zalando.
Ultimately, we were able to bring together all of this great work on both projects, which was really an ambitious goal. And for that, we needed a solid focus on prioritization and sequencing in place. With high cross-team dependency on the design system, where more than 120 components across multiple screens and platforms required theming, product managers across different teams needed to be in sync for delivery. For us, that meant adopting an iterative approach to component migration. This was based on which screens were needed first for user acceptance testing and initial launch. Following the success of the first theme, we knew that we would have to address new use cases soon, along with questions around governance. Being one company with a well-defined visual identity, we were asked things like, well, who gets a theme? And who decides that? How would we avoid friction? This needed to be addressed and tackled through the introduction of processes and theming principles. The principles are the result of a full-day workshop with the whole systems team and multiple iterations. As an example, we have the one page, one theme principle, which ensures that designs always follow the primary theme on a page, avoiding having multiple visual languages mixed on the same screen. Or prioritize coherence, meaning keeping established patterns and being mindful of themes coexisting in harmony across the product without any one of them stealing the spotlight.
And the first new theme we applied and stress tested these principles against was Zalando Stories. And Zalando Stories is one of the different categories through which we aim to bring more inspirational fashion and culture content to our platform. Stories now also has a dedicated type stack to reflect the more editorial nature of the content, and it uses a dark color scheme as default. The use case was also a great opportunity to extend the existing theming capabilities, evaluating which ones have the highest potential to be reusable for other themes as well. And if you have a clear product vision, it really helps to make more future-friendly decisions on what to introduce to the system.
Our timing was also quite lucky. Figma released variables around the same time as we were documenting our themes. In Figma, we use one variables collection for these 3 themes. And in here, we store all of our semantic and component tokens. At the same time, this collection loads separate collections for the color schemes. And in here, we only have the color tokens. This means that a theme can have more than one color scheme, and they can be nested and combined as much as needed. And as everything is managed through design tokens, all of our components are compatible with color schemes. All this work resulted in substantial simplifications, like removing light, dark, and inverted variants, and also concepts like on light and on dark. One of the many benefits of this approach is that in the future, we can easily build dark mode variations for each theme, or even a specific campaign color scheme. But our work didn't stop there. We also had to bring everyone on the same page through education and training, because design tokens and theming are a big mindset shift. We onboarded our community through different formats, such as deep dive sessions, usability tests, and Medium articles from the design and engineering point of view. This onboarding material fosters a culture of shared ownership, making others buy into the idea of reusability and coherence, which is critical for the success of theming in a large organization. And one of the most rewarding parts for us was definitely the excitement and appreciation of our community during the presentation of theming and the onboarding sessions.
Reflecting back, this has been a great opportunity to assess the quality of the design system itself. We know that a very strict and consistent design system makes development extremely fast, but as the company evolves and the business requirements shift, you will see more deviations. We needed to envision the long-term product goals beyond serving just the immediate needs, where it becomes a requirement to handle flexibility as part of the design system itself and simplify it along the way. And with that, we want to share with you our 3 key learnings from this experience. 1, recognizing that design tokens are a mindset shift. To be scalable, it needs to be resilient through governance and principles. And at its core, tokens need to align with your brand architecture. And that's a wrap. Thank you for joining us.